Now, it was 2 months ago that the announcement went out that this CEO transition was happening. I tell you, it feels like 6 months. These are certainly unusual circumstances in which to be taking the reins of a storied company like IBM. First, I want to ask, how are you? How much of IBM's workforce is working from home? What is your message to them at this time?
Thanks, John. So if you look at our workforce and if you look at the timing over the last 2 months, it's certainly been interesting. This was not anticipated, certainly, end of January. And right now, we feel that we are in a good shape. If I look at our workforce, about 95% of our people are working remotely and from home. Over the last few weeks, we have managed to get hundreds of data centers, 500,000 laptops, hundreds of thousands of mobile devices, and as I said, 95% of our employees effective. Now, that said, some number of our employees are essential, and they do work, whether at manufacturing facilities or at the client sites, because the services that they provide are absolutely essential to our clients. So we are really pleased with what we have managed to do with our employees working remotely and being quite productive in that environment. It, of course, is a testament to the investment we have made over the last years in our network, in remote working capabilities, in all of those tools to work remotely and effectively, et cetera.
Now, I know you got to be sensitive when it comes to financial questions because you've got earnings in 2 weeks, but I want to ask from a macro perspective, how big of an economic shock are you reading this pandemic to be to the tech ecosystem? Compare it maybe to the financial crisis just over a decade ago, the dot-com bust 20 years ago.
Look, John, as you said, so I'm not going to comment on performance because we are in a blackout period at the end of the quarter. That said, look, if everybody is going to take a hit from the future GDP issues, if GDP goes south and some of the predictions are dire, then obviously there will be some correlation. It's hard to predict exactly how much. The work we do, though, is quite essential. So consequently, we feel that we are well positioned to sort of weather this crisis and this storm. It's hard to put any precise percentages on it right now. I think the next few months is going to tell us exactly how this is going to bear out.
Absolutely. So let me ask you at the functional and micro level there, do you expect that IBM is going to function differently as a result of this crisis, whether it has to do with working from home, drills, preparedness, use of video or collaboration tools? I know that you are already doing some of that, but how does it look from here? Well,
so there is obviously going to be a lot more virtual work or remote work using all of these tools that you talk about. If I look at the last few weeks, I mean, I think we counted up more than 1 million hours of video conferencing going on. We have hundreds of thousands, I think, at any given time, given our global workforce, over 200,000 VPN connections coming in. So all of that is going to become sort of the way we will all get work done over the next few months. Not just us, but our clients also, in addition to us and how we work with them. We're already seeing that this is resulting in people adapting. And as they adapt to this new form of work, we find that they're going to be productive and they're resilient. And so I especially enjoy, as all of that workforce is getting productive, that they haven't really missed a beat in our delivery to our clients, in the services that they provide, in all of their interactions, and in how they get work done. And when we look at the usage of AI and cloud, I think it is especially going to accelerate also not just us, but how our clients are going to go on their digital transformations. And this, I believe this crisis is only going to accelerate that as we go over the next few months.
Okay, Arvind, now I want to ask you about changes. You have outlined some. You put out a letter to employees this morning where, for example, Jim Whitehurst is president at IBM now, leading corporate strategy, as we knew was going to happen. But also, Bridget Van Krelingen is going to be senior vice president, global markets. Paul Cormier takes over Jim's old role at Red Hat. You're bringing over an executive from Bank of America to run cloud. But what's the timeline on you telling us about further changes, whether they're going to be structural changes. Maybe you're not going to do that now on your first day in the midst of this pandemic, but what should we expect as far as the rhythm of that as the year progresses?
Look, I've been quite clear, and you referenced the letter. There are two fundamental journeys that all our clients are on, the journey to hybrid cloud and the journey to AI. With Jim Whitehurst's announcement and Howard Bovell's announcement, you kind of got what we are doing on the assets that we're going to put in there, with Jim leading software in addition to strategy, as well as Howard Bovell leading cloud and being a new member of the team. As we're going to take these assets forward, Bridget has a wonderful empathy with all of our clients and a lot of expertise in industries and in providing these services to our clients. So you can see that that is being put in place over there. This combination is then going to allow us leveraging all the Red Hat technologies, because we do believe that as people embark on this transformation to cloud, there is going to be an architectural war. And that war, we believe the winning architecture is going to be Linux, containers, and Kubernetes, which is part of Red Hat's portfolio. And as we bring the Red Hat portfolio with Paul Cormier into what Jim and Howard build to provide to our clients, delivered in place by Bridget, this is going to be a huge, huge victory for us as we go both into and emerge from the current pandemic. Now, you also asked about structural changes. Structural changes will come about in response to performance. As we look at what's happening and how our different units and geographies perform, that's how we are going to react, as any business has to, in order to both be strong and be able to emerge stronger from this current crisis.
I love how you just got right down into the gears of the business right there. Let's keep talking about it, because you did point out artificial intelligence, hybrid cloud as being two areas where you said you need to, quote, deepen our understanding. Now, hybrid is, and AI, crowded fields right now. Google is trying to say the same thing with Anthos, pushing that message. What are IBM's key assets you think that allow you to beat them there?
Yeah. Look, I think I go back to, and it's always, what is the correct word? I think sometimes a market needs more than one player to form a market. I think we came out about a year and a half ago, October of 2018, and talked about that hybrid is the way that people are going to be able to go from going 20% into the cloud for the remaining 80%. And that's based on the mission-critical nature of the work that is left to do. It's not work that is easily isolated and done. So it's no surprise to me that many others are coming after the hybrid market, given that that's where we believe the money is, by our estimate about over $1 trillion, $1.2 trillion per year worth of opportunity. So then you say, what are our special assets? So if I go into, I think people accept that Linux is the operating system that is going to be the majority in the future. Containers is the correct way to exploit the portability of workload, as well as the right ones run anywhere, depending on where it's appropriate, be it a private or a public cloud. And Kubernetes is the way to do automation and to really bring a lot of complexity reduction or simplicity into how you get the work deployed. We believe that with Red Hat and IBM, those three pieces are the correct architecture to go succeed. And with the number of people we have working in both the upstream open source, as well as hardening those technologies into products that can be easily consumed by the enterprise, those are some of the special, the special sauce that we bring to the mix. But then, even if you have all of the technology, many of our clients are going to require expertise to help them. Which of the applications should I migrate? Which ones should I modernize? Where is the return in terms of those applications that may need to scale up and down and give me greater intimacy with all of my clients? And we bring a lot of the expertise to do that with our services teams, as well as help our clients then run this new infrastructure in a much more effective and efficient way than they could, really providing both resiliency and modernization with the cloud.
Now, Arvind, please put the past in perspective for me so that I understand better the future that you want to head to. I know that you and certainly others at IBM have said IBM doesn't get the credit yet that it deserves for the work that you are doing in the cloud. But tell me, over the past couple decades, I'm sure everyone would admit that IBM has not led in the cloud, at least initially, the way that you wanted to. What were the mistakes, the things that IBM missed in the past couple of cycles that perhaps were reflected in the stock not doing what investors might have wanted it to? And how do you do something different over the next cycle?
Look, John, I'm not actually going to dwell on the past today. We are in the middle of a global health crisis. We're going to focus on both our employees and our clients, as I just got to say that as a paramount thing that we have to get done. Now, that said, we're going to help our clients through this crisis by focusing on what I described on both hybrid cloud and AI. I believe that that will allow us to emerge even stronger from this crisis, and then since hybrid cloud is the way of the future, it's going to allow us to use both those technologies and services to grow going down the road. Now, by the way, as I said, cloud, we're only about 20% in. If I look at AI, the world has only exploited, we believe, 4% of the potential productivity of AI. That's a long ways to go. And building both the assets and the services to be able to help our clients do that gives a lot of opportunity. You've heard us use Watson, and the way Watson is really helping in this current crisis, I think is a great proof point. Our Watson Assistant for Citizens is really making a difference, being used across many states, California, Texas, New York, Georgia. I mean, a really quick example. At the Children's Hospital in Atlanta, we are using Watson Assistant to conform to the hospital's guidelines, but do a pediatric assessment because the number of parents calling would overwhelm the medical staff. So being able to maybe take 1,000 of those into a digital assistant, but sticking to the guidelines to do a quick assessment of is more help needed or not, is something that's a great, great example of how AI is going to be able to help in this crisis, but then really paints a picture of what we can do post the crisis also.
Finally, Arvind, a number of companies have talked about the need to have assets closer in the United States as a result of this crisis. Over the past several years, IBM has done more global expansion, moved a lot of jobs in other areas around the world. Do you see IBM reversing that or growing more in the U.S. As a result of this crisis, or no?
Actually, John, we tend to follow wherever we can find talent and skills. So we hire or have been always hiring tens of thousands of people a year. It's based on where we can find talent with the right skills. It's not a question of globalization or going to any specific location. And the ability to do remote work has been a fundamental part of what we've been doing for 20 years. So if we have a great pocket where we can find talent, we are probably going to go there and be able to do that, whether it's the top universities in this country, the universities in Europe, worrying about people which we call sort of new collar, or really being able to go after the skills which don't need a college degree per se. And we've been hiring lots of those also in. You've heard us talk about the PTech schools in the past. So it's that basis of where do you need advanced degrees, where do you need people with a little bit more than a high school education, and being able to go to the pockets where you have enough people who are able to be employed.